Hey. Time for the Out of This World story from rSpace. What exactly do you do when your apartment suddenly smells like betrayal? Open a window? Burn some sage. Because nothing says cozy apartment life like the lingering scent of backstabbing and the ghost of shared Netflix passwords past. Today on rSpace, love is messy, confusing, and sometimes just downright ridiculous. Up first, the Wi-Fi wasn't the only thing connecting two people behind closed doors. I, 26 male, think my, 24 female, girlfriend is cheating on me with my best friend because of Wi-Fi. So using an old throwaway for obvious reasons, but basically my girlfriend and I have been dating for a bit over a year now, and have been seriously considering moving in together. Last night we decided to go out for dinner to discuss it. We decided that I would move in with her once my lease was up in April. I texted my best friend, let's call him Jake, to tell him the good news. He told us he wanted to buy us a few drinks and us all crash at his place to celebrate. He said we could just meet at his house and then Uber to the bar. We figured why not, right? He's met her numerous times, and we all get along really well, but always while out somewhere or at my place, never at his house. Well, we get to his house, and my girlfriend says she really needs to use the bathroom before we start drinking. So her and I run inside, she sets her phone and purse on his table, and she runs into the bathroom. My buddy stayed outside in case the Uber showed up. My girlfriend's phone went off, and she asked me to check it to see if it was her friend finally getting back to her about her coming up with us or not. My buddy is single, and she told me she would try and hook them up. Well, when I turned on her screen, I noticed that it showed it was connected to a Wi-Fi network. I checked on my own phone, and all the Wi-Fi networks there have passcodes. I'm trying to see if maybe there's any other reasonable explanation before I jump to conclusions. I was thinking maybe she used to date an ex that lives nearby, but she just replaced her phone about 3 or so months ago because her old one broke. I don't know what to do. I don't want to risk losing my girlfriend and possibly my best friend just because I'm freaking out about something so small. I don't know if I'm ready to lose both of them at the same time. Update, February 14th, 2020, 4 days later. Since my update post was removed and blocked, I figured I'd post it here for those who were curious and didn't get a chance to read the update. I also want to say thank you to everyone and their advice. It's better at least knowing the truth, though, than trying to ignore that gut feeling and intuition. I've taken a few days for myself. I read most of the comments and I realized something. Sorry for not updating you guys sooner. I spoke with her 2 nights ago. It was just straightforward and honest. I told her about how I saw that her phone had connected to Wi-Fi, and I wasn't sure why it did that. She got quiet and didn't say anything for what felt like an eternity. Then she just said she wasn't sure what it would have connected to. Maybe a local shop or something. I would have maybe accepted this, but I realized that when we got back that night, she went to get a glass of water. I was sitting in the kitchen, and the very first cabinet she opened was the glasses. It could have been a coincidence, but at that point, I doubt it. She broke down and confessed that she had spent a couple of nights with him a few weeks ago, that he had hit her up on Facebook, and that they only talked on there. She said it was a mistake and purely physical, for fun. It's a lot to process right now. I've shut them both out, and I'm just trying to get a better hold on my feelings and emotions. I feel betrayed by both of them. Let's look at the community for some comments. First up, just read your original post and wow, I never would have thought that much about the Wi-Fi thing. I'm sorry that this happened to you. Your best friend is an absolute a-hole, and so is the girl. I certainly hope she's your ex now. Time to move on and make better friends. I can't imagine how you're feeling, but know that it will get better. The OP replies, it's hard, but I'm glad I found out before we moved in together. I think it isn't even her that hits the hardest. Like, part of everyone I think expects or at least knows a partner cheating on them is a possibility. But whoever thinks their best friend would, especially because she said he initiated the contact. Like, that hurt me more than anything. I don't even know if she's being honest that he initiated it, but it's going to be difficult for me to trust again. Not sure how I can get over this one. Someone else says, how did she not need to ask where the bathroom is? The OP replies, I looked past the whole bathroom thing, but realized after reading your comment that she knew exactly where his glasses were at the end of the night too. Why did she ask him to check her phone and not worry? I thought about this one for a while. I don't know the passcode to her phone. It just shows if she got a new Snapchat or text or whatever. But I thought about how she asked me to check it for her. She said it was all physical with him, like not emotional. She was trying to say we can move past it because it's not like she loves him, that it was just for fun. and that there weren't any feelings or anything involved. The fact that she's not only cheated on you, but did it with your best friend? That's beyond messed up. She knew exactly what she was doing, pretending to be all innocent at dinner, asking you to check her phone like she had nothing to hide, then casually sneaking off to hit up your friend behind your back. That's cold. She clearly knew what she was doing and didn't care how it'd hurt you. Honestly, you're better off without someone like that. Someone who can't even respect the person they say they love and then drags your best friend into it? Cut them both out and don't look back. Trust me, you don't want to waste any more time on people who treat you like a fool. So, if your girlfriend cheated on you with your best friend, what would you do? Drop both? Try to work it out with one? Or just walk away from the whole mess? Up next, an open relationship where the motto is, what's mine is mine and what's yours still better be mine? Am I the a-hole for calling out my husband for changing up the rules in our open marriage? I, 35 female, am in an open relationship with my husband, 36 male. It was over the summer he mentioned it to me. I wouldn't say I was totally for it, but it took some getting used to. Now everything is going great, but recently my husband keeps changing the rules. Once I started dating Evan, 45 male, that's when he started acting differently. My husband and I agreed on a don't ask, don't tell policy, but he keeps pestering me about the details of our relationship. I give him a little here and there, but never the explicit stuff. Everything positive I mentioned about Evan, he downplays or critiques. Last week, I planned a date with Evan and asked him to watch the kids. He agreed. He was to get back home by 9, but texted me to say he's doing overtime that night. I was left scrambling for a sitter at the last minute. This isn't the first time he's done this. Luckily, this time I got a hold of a sitter, but I could not stay as long as I was hoping for. Afterward, he acted as if everything was okay. He began policing me when I left the house and began picking my outfits apart, expressing concern about how the neighbors would perceive me. To avoid conflict, I started wearing jackets to cover up before heading out. Then came the issue of Evan dropping me off. He worried about the neighbors seeing a strange car pull up at night. This forced me to do lunch dates. It wasn't a bother. I would bring my laptop to Evan's and work at his place. However, I preferred the dinner dates because I got a chance to dress up more. Changing up the times seemed to alleviate some tension, but I still felt like I was compromising too much. He didn't even want me to drive to the dates, but when Evan pays for an Uber or drops me off, it's an issue. It makes no sense. The breaking point was when Evan sent flowers to the house. My husband lost it, claiming it's dangerous for a strange man to know our address when we have kids inside. I will say he was right about this. I did drop the ball, however. He insisted that I shouldn't bring home any gifts at all going forward, arguing it violated our don't ask, don't tell rule. He used to joke about me not getting chivalry in my open relationship, and now that I'm getting dates, it's a big deal? I asked him if he doesn't take the women he sleeps with on dates, and he said no, it's strictly sex, and none of that lovey-dovey BS that I'm doing. I confronted my husband about these rules, and he just brushed it off like I was nothing, saying, it's just a respect thing. I was really enjoying this, but he's sucking the fun out of it, and it just feels highly stressful. Let's see what the community has to say about some of this. First up, your husband wanted to have a wife and still sleep with whomever he liked. He didn't want that for you. Come on now, surely you realize that. Next up, to me, it seems like husband wants NSA sex with people other than his wife, and without any of the emotions that come with either an additional girlfriend or hurting his wife. However, wife found someone who also respects and appreciates her, and isn't using her like a hole like how husband is doing his part of the open relationship. So I think this is extra incensing for him. He's emotionally removing himself just to get extra pussy. She found someone who will put up with the weird rules and treat her well. It's not just the sex, it's that she's getting treated well. Another comment says, yeah, not everyone can enjoy sex with random one-night strangers. Clearly that's not her bag, and she should have known that. Or maybe he did, and that's why he thought it would all fall in place nicely for him. Maybe he thought he would have it all while she was at home not sleeping with anyone else. Yet another comment says, not the a-hole. Question, does your husband actually hook up with other women? Reading between the lines, I wouldn't be surprised if things weren't working out for him. If this is going to work, you can't just agree to don't ask, don't tell, and call it a day. Rules have to be in place. If he only wants sexual relationships outside of the marriage without emotional intimacy, that's a fine rule if you agree to it. It's also fine to change the rules after they've been established, but that should be based on a conversation where everyone is on the same page. He shouldn't be able to change or establish the rules on his own and get mad that you haven't been following them. The OP replies, I think he does. He dresses up on the weekend to go out and come in late. We both agreed to emotional intimacy, one-night stands, and casual. It's just the nitpicking that's too much. I don't mind having a discussion, but when I'm met with, "It's not that serious," that's when I get pissed. Another commenter says, you need to see this for what it is. He opened the marriage without understanding that it meant you would be going on dates too. He never wanted the rules to be fair, so starting from that premise is only going to get him subverting any discussions. He just thought about all the fun he would be having. Now he is treating you like crap because he can't stand that what is good for the gander is good for the goose. You need to bottom line it for him. Open marriages are not easy to maintain. Most couples can't handle it. The only way to handle it is to set clear rules and follow them. One thing I will say is that your partner needs to be your primary. So if both of you are putting all your efforts into getting laid outside of the relationship, you will trash the marriage. You need regular date nights and check-ins, etc. It also takes a lot of trust and respect for your partner. In other words, you need to put your work into your marriage to make it work, open or closed. There is plenty of literature out there on how to make this work if you really want it to, but it is work. Opening a marriage isn't a quick release valve to save a marriage for people who aren't good at communicating and take their spouse for granted. The overall judgment was not the a-hole. Sounds like your husband wanted the perks of an open relationship without really being prepared for what that meant for you. He probably thought he'd have to get fun on his terms, but when you started actually enjoying yourself and having a connection with Evan, it threw him off. The way he's changing the rules, picking apart your outfits, and controlling how you get your dates. An open relationship only works if both people agree on the boundaries together and respect each other's needs. Update, 9 months later. You guys were right. This was a crap show. I'm not sure where to start, but we are getting a divorce. He in fact did not change and became way more possessive and controlling while changing the rules. Everything I did was either wrong or inconsiderate. Evan had planned a weekend trip to Cabo to celebrate a new business venture. I asked my husband if he was okay with it weeks in advance. He enthusiastically agreed, mentioning I deserved the trip. He even told me to make sure I flood his phone with pics. I told him I was going to stay with Evan the night before for easier commute. He insisted on taking me to the airport instead. Since it was our last night until Tuesday, however, when it was time to leave, he overslept. Despite urging him to get up to the point that I pulled the covers off and turned off the air, he spent an entire hour in the bathroom. Then to make matters worse, he didn't fill the tank. I told him the evening before. I called an Uber, which was another hour late, but luckily I got to enjoy my trip. I let it slide and moved on. Boy oh boy, I wish I never went on that trip because things got worse. It's like I was being punished for the trip. He became incredibly invasive in my personal relationships. He wanted to know what my sex life with Evan was like, if he was better, etc. He used to play it off like it was not a big deal to him. Then I caught him snooping through my phone. It was too much. I didn't understand because Evan was no longer the only man I was seeing, but Evan triggered him the most. If that wasn't enough, he had his friends over for boys' nights. I was getting ready for girls' night. Before I left, he said out loud, "You're really going to leave me to go F him?" in front of his friends. The embarrassment and humiliation I felt, even typing this. I just sat in my car and cried so much that's when I knew it was done. He apologized, mentioned he was drunk. I don't buy it one bit. He has never acted like this. This open relationship has left me drained mentally and emotionally, and it wasn't even my idea to begin with. I filed for divorce, but he keeps begging for reconciliation, but I can't. Before anyone comments, I know you told me so. Sigh. Alright, now let's see what those comments say. First up, he didn't want an open marriage, he wanted your permission to sleep with others while you were not allowed to say. Not the a-hole. Then, and now enjoy yourself. Next comment. This is not the a-hole. OP, if he ever says anything in front of people again, call him out and say he was the one who wanted to open the relationship. Your husband wanted to sleep around and didn't realize you'd be having fun too. Back to the first commenter saying, I also wonder if it's not working out for him as much as he hoped it would. To which the second commenter chimes back, yeah, he probably slept with whoever he wanted to sleep with, and it wasn't as great as he thought, and he isn't getting as many girls as he thought he would. Someone else says, isn't that how these stories usually go? Husband demands open marriage so he can screw around, discovers that he's not that attractive and women aren't lining up to be with him while their wives are picking up guys right and left. Then demands their wives stop meeting others, and the wives, meanwhile, have found that there are much better men out there than the a-holes they are married and filed for divorce. I don't blame you for rolling your eyes when he begs for reconciliation now. Actions speak louder than apologies, especially after that kind of circus. Time to close this chapter and enjoy your life on your terms. Have you ever seen an open relationship go sideways because one partner wanted freedom only for themselves? Share your stories with us in the comments below. Up next, getting hit by a car somehow turned out to be the best part for this OP. Wife cheated, but I won. I met my girlfriend senior year of high school in 2022. We bonded well and hit it off a couple months later. 2023, we graduated high school and we're going off to university in August. We had too much free time in the summer and she ended up pregnant and we found out early August. The biggest mistake of my life, and I can't tell you how scared I was. Due to the pregnancy, our family pressured us to get married. So we did in January of 2024. My second biggest mistake. Anyways, she goes through with the pregnancy and gives birth 9 months later. A couple months later, the baby died due to an undetected heart condition. It was hard for us to manage, but I thought we pulled through. The fall semester was coming up, and I had switched universities. She was doing online courses, so we decided to move into a one-bedroom apartment. First time that we had lived together on our own, self-sustained. Within 1 to 2 months of signing the lease, she started cheating. Looking back, I should have noticed, but I was exhausted from university, work, and commuting. Her schedule was easier as she just worked full-time and did her classes from our apartment. More free time. 40 hours versus 65 hours weekly, and she still had the audacity to complain about me not cleaning. Signs I noticed and ignored, unfortunately. More time online. More isolation. Less physical interaction. Changing in view of cheating went from deal breaker to it's not a big deal. But I was 19 and dumb. At least now I know what to look out for in the future. She cheated for 5 months in total before she told me. Now here's the part where I win, which may sound counterintuitive. I got hit by a car. Best thing that's happened to me. Now this case is still active, so I won't give too much detail. But here's what I will give. Company vehicle that was at fault. Severe injury, deep pockets. This injury occurred about 6 months ago, and I'm still in physical therapy. Probably take a year to fully recover, but I feel well. I'm basically guaranteed to be worth a couple hundred G's once everything settles. Found this part out in December of 2024. Also due to my injury, I had to stay at my parents' for 6 weeks as I couldn't go up my apartment stairs. While I'm gone, my ex tells me she likes being there alone. Wonderful thing to hear when you're almost killed a couple weeks prior. Yeah, she was cheating. At this point, I'm still oblivious, but I start planning for the future. While injured, I start seeing financial advisors, etc., making plans to pay off our debt and whatnot. I don't know if this pissed her off or what because I was trying to take care of our finances. I didn't work due to the severity of my injury, but it created tension for some reason. Even though we were going to be financially free, but oh well. She eventually told me about her cheating in March of 2025, and I immediately filed for divorce, and it surprised her, even though I told her it was a deal breaker in the beginning of our relationship. Made her sleep on the couch until she found a new apartment. Unfortunately, I did not start working a lot more, which was hard due to me still recovering, but you gotta do what you gotta do. My theory is that she felt bad about the cheating and didn't think she deserved the settlement. I couldn't imagine the guilt, especially after 5 months, but honestly, I don't know, and I don't care why. I just know I was able to protect myself. I also found out that her mom was upset that she told me about the cheating because they wanted my ex to get some of the settlement. Shows the learned behavior from filth. It also shows how uneducated they are to think they would get any. It's money for future medical costs, and the only way she could get half is if she put the money into a joint account, at least where I live. Besides, I made her do an uncontested divorce, and apparently she started sleeping around with a bunch of guys 2 weeks after leaving. Shows she was the problem. While I'm going to therapy, taking my time, and I honestly feel a lot better, I haven't gotten myself into a rebound relationship because it's stupid and doesn't work. I also added a new dating rule. Don't date anyone that believes they don't need their meds. But yeah, that's my cheating story. I have no hate toward her, and I have forgiven her. I wish her the best in life. My biggest advice to anyone dealing with a cheater is to turn your anger, sadness into ambition. Edit. I see people like Audie Bean are saying I should have stayed with my ex. Apparently because I took at the positive in life and I don't sulk in the past, that means I'm immature. Also, a lot of you assume my win is financial. That's just the cherry on top, not the main part. I found peace in myself. Also, shout out to Girl Awoke for saying she would cheat too. Bold of her to assume I would date scum. The fact that she had the nerve to complain about you and not cleaning while she's out there juggling her side gigs? Oof. What really gets me is how she and her family thought they were going to get a piece of that settlement. No chance. You fought hard to protect yourself, and rightfully so. It's not some cash grab for her to run wild while you're dealing with the aftermath of all this crap. That kind of entitlement says a lot about where she came from and what she thinks she deserves. Spoiler alert, not much. She was never really in the relationship for the right reasons. Have you ever had to protect yourself from someone who seemed great at first but ended up being toxic? And what was the moment you finally saw the truth? Thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon!